What up everyone, it's your man Xman87 here, bringing you another Marvel Legends video, and what I have for you today is the Spider-Man Retro Series Wave 3 Chasm action figure review. Before we get into everything, if you could please leave a thumbs up, like rating on the video, it'll help show your support for my channel and I greatly appreciate it. Now with that said, let's go! So I didn't cover the story of Spider-Man Beyond in my review since I was waiting for my Chasm review to explain it, as the two are connected from one storyline leading to the next. Therefore, I wouldn't have to waste time explaining it twice. Plus, I was still reading that storyline and didn't finish it, but now that I'm all caught up and it's fresh in my head, I'm going to quickly break that down for you now. Ben Reilly is recruited by the Beyond Corporation to be their own branded Spider-Man, a trademark filed by Doc Ock during his days as Spidey and bought by Beyond during Parker Industries' liquidation. They believed he was easier to manipulate than the other Spider-Man candidates. They offered him a sizable salary and got his ex-girlfriend Janine out of jail so they could have a second chance together. Peter wasn't too happy about sharing the identity at first, but when the UFOs caught a lucky break and gave Peter radiation poisoning, Ben got his blessing to be Spider-Man while Peter was out of commission. After a few missions with Beyond, Ben started acting out. He was losing his temper and becoming impulsive, putting himself and civilians in further danger. While working through it with Dr. Kafka, she revealed that Ben had many of his memories erased by Beyond. However, she had been attempting to put them back. She believed they were essential to what made Ben a hero, but also blamed their reintroduction for his sudden confusions and outbursts. Ben did not take this news very well. His attitude towards Beyond shifted and he started looking for a way out. Janine had learned that Beyond was responsible for the recent supervillains. When they got out of hand, they would disavow knowledge of it and use Ben to clean up the mess. After a brief team up with Peter, now back on his feet, Ben lashed out and targeted the executive offices of Beyond on his own, currently being protected by the Slingers. To buy herself some time, Beyond's current CEO, Maxine Danger, tried playing Ben against Peter. She gave Ben a device that would supposedly copy Peter's memories and give them to Ben. Peter did not trust the device, forcing Ben to lash out against him. While they fought, she flooded the Beyond offices with a psychoactive substance that would alter reality, thus scrubbing Earth 616 of Beyond's existence. During their fight, Ben would get caught in this substance. He was assumed dead by Peter, but Janine went looking for him in the ruins of the building, finding him transformed into a new being, Chasm, named for the void that now exists in his memories. This would lead into the Dark Web storyline, where Chasm enters an allegiance with Madeline Pryor, aka the Goblin Queen, who promised to help Ben extract Peter's soul for himself. Another part of this deal, Pryor would empower Janine with demonic abilities to become Chasm's other evil half, known as Hallows' Eve. But after Madeline Pryor betrayed Chasm, Janine would steal her demon scythe and hand it to Ben, transforming him with increased size, wings, and control of the Goblin Army. He was now bestowed as King Chasm, aka the Goblin King. For powers and abilities as Chasm, after being exposed to psychoactive goo from the Beyond Corporation, Ben Spider-Sense takes on offensive capabilities capable of physically attacking would-be attackers and even manifesting energy weapons. He is also able to consume memories to fill the void in his own. Alright man, I gotta say, this head sculpt is pretty damn good. They sculpted the actual design so it's raised when you feel around it. It's a nice design, it's nicely painted. Man, I like the eyes, the pattern, all of that. That looks really good. And it's great. It's so great that it actually causes a problem for the rest of the figure, because they don't follow through with the sculpting pattern and the design is just painted on rather than sculpted on. Like, how much better it would have looked if the design on the body was sculpted to match the sculpt on the head. Like, yeah, it's another repainted body from the White Suit Spider-Man 2099 figure, but Hasbro could have at least done something a little more enticing and added sculpt to it, because that would have made it so much better. It's like, hey, you actually showed effort. If the design of the costume is sculpted on the head, you gotta follow through with it, man. You gotta follow with the pattern. They could have made this body feel a little more brand new if they sculpted it. But the best thing about this figure is the paint job. I mean, the paint job is so crisp and clean. I mean, straight lines everywhere I look. The green is spot on, even the trimming right here. The design, again, it's flawless. The paint is flawless, and I like how everything just flows through. So if I do an ab crunch right here, the paint stays connected. If I crunch it over, the paint stays connected within the legs. If I bend the shoulders forward, you know, move them forward or move them back, everything stays aligned. Even in the front, everything stays aligned. I love that. He could have used some pinless arms. Didn't they retool the limbs for this body in pinless? It would have benefited because you got black pins showing on the purple side. You know, he still has pins on the legs. I would have forgiven that if they kept the arms here pinless so that the pattern just stays nice and smooth. And look at the details on the web shooters here. Look at that dry brushing. That is awesome. Some great details that complements his powers. And it'll look better when the accessories are on too, and we'll take a closer look at that in a few. But yeah, this design is just so nice looking. I really like this. I think if you're a big Ben Reilly fan, you're gonna like this figure. He's got a little more green paint right here above his calves. Again, the paint work is just clean and crisp. And the base color for his body is like this dark charcoal gray. It's not a solid black. It looks really good. It's the same as the Spider-Man Beyond legs right there. It's like the same color tone. So one thing I forgot to mention in my Spider-Man Beyond review is that he's got two tones and colors. He's got a solid black on the top, and then it goes like a dark gray at the bottom right below the inverted ab crunch hinge. And in the comics, he has kind of like this fade that goes down. So I kind of wish they made a more gradient tone to kind of blend that all together for a nice transition. Instead, it's just like black and dark gray. Now for accessories, he comes with these same two twirling flame effects we've seen over and over again countless times in the line. It's just a green color to complement his aura, and that's one thing that has me questioning about the accessory selection here, is because Chasm is supposed to have this mystical aura to himself where he has this green aura effect all around him. So yeah, while these twirly things work just to, you know, complement the arms a bit, they could have done a little more here. So remember with Human Torch, Johnny Storm, he came with that flaming back piece right there that you could plug in. Why didn't they give him this and paint it in green? He's supposed to have that, you know, aura all around him. I feel like maybe they could have added additional twirls here to wrap around his ankles, you know. I think that would have made the figure look a little bit better aesthetically. And he doesn't have alternate hands, which sucks. So I mean, you can work around it. You just gotta try to find some hands that can match this plastic, because if you go with something that's like Negative Suit Spider-Man, for example, his all hands won't work because it's a solid black. It's just too dark. Try something like the all hands for House of X Professor X. They have that same color tone going on. I mean, the hands look a little bit small, but again, it's just options to work with. The hands from Superior Venom could work because they're claws. The only thing is the wrist peg has that big ridge right there at the top, so it's only going to stop right there. I mean, you could cover it by moving the web shooter down so it doesn't look gappy at all. So that is an option. It could work. I think the Bombastic Bagman's hands work just fine, just because his hands aren't jet black with that glossy deco like on his body. There's a little fade to it, so this works in my opinion. Speaking of lack of accessories, the one thing I hate about the Retro Waves is that they give you less than the bare minimum in accessories with no bath piece either. Like, I feel this wave was meant for a bath because King Chasm would have been the perfect bath choice since these two are connected in storylines. So it sucks to pay the same amount as a bath wave and not get an extra figure out of it, because at least that would have made up for the lack of accessories in this wave. So see, some people think these waves would cost less without the bath piece. No, they're gonna charge you the same amount with or without the bath. So if I'm shelling out the same amount of money on a non-bath wave compared to a bath wave and getting the same amount of accessories, I'd rather have the extra figure in the bath, because to me, that's the rewarding part of completing a wave. But that's just me personally, you know? And there are those that feel differently, and that's fine. I'm just letting you know how I feel. And for those that are going to try to force their opinion over mine, then that's not going to work because I'm not going to change my opinion on that. Ditching articulation since you know what to expect from this body and going straight to comparisons, here is Chasm next to Peter Parker's Spider-Man. Here is Chasm next to some of his heroic personas as Ben Reilly, Scarlet Spider, and Sensational Spider-Man. And before Ben Reilly evolved into Chasm, he was Spider-Man Beyond, so here he goes next to him, along with another evil version of Ben Reilly, Spider Carnage. And now to wrap things up, my final rating is a 7 out of 10. Chasm's strongest attributes to this wave is his paint job. By far the main highlight of this figure. It's visually stimulating to look at as everything was sharply executed from the jagged to straight line work, keeping the entire design perfectly aligned. I forgot to even mention for his upper body, the top legs of the spider design lines up perfectly all the way to the mask to match the line work there. Of course, when the head is facing front and not twisted, I just felt that was important to note. The paintwork on mine is pristine, and the airbrushing on the web shooters was a surprise touch. The head sculpt again is stellar, and I just wish the design on the body matched the aesthetics on the head. That would have put this figure over. It does bug me that we have two Ben Reillys in this wave that don't match each other's physique, one on an outdated body and the other on an updated one. That doesn't look good. Two Spideys in the wave that should have shared the same body. When Ben evolved to Chasm, he was the same size, or you can say bigger. He didn't shrink, so it was a moronic move, but I'm not surprised since they never think this shit through. Missed opportunities on not adding more accessories. Another big missed opportunity was not making this a BAF wave. They could have done it for just the modernized retro cards they created in this wave and leave the classic retro cards alone in the same wave. I challenged the Marvel Legends team to experiment with a 4-figure BAF wave like McFarlane Toys does for his DC Multiverse waves, where it's not pushing the consumer. I'm sure it'll behoove the Legends team to look into that. Maybe it's a little too much, but at this point, with the way Legends are going, it's worth the try. King Chasm would have been an easy BAF for them. Caliban body, then add the wings, new feet, and a head. This way, we could have completed the modern 3 stages of Ben Reilly in one wave with Spider-Man Beyond, Chasm, and King Chasm. That could have been nice since we have the 3 stages of Ben Reilly from the past with Scarlet Spider, Sensational Spider-Man, and Spider Carnage. As a Ben Reilly fan, I would have enjoyed that. I like Ben Reilly a lot and I like this figure. I like this a lot more than some of the Spider-Mans they've been putting out recently. He would have been better than the average score of a 7 rating. If they added just a little bit more, he could have been a great 8. Now I kick it back to you. What do you think of this Chasm figure? And would you like to see his evolutionary form as King Chasm in Legends one day? Maybe a Goblin King and Goblin Queen 2-pack might be an interesting offer. Comment below, let me know, we'll chat about it. That was my review. Please follow me on Instagram if you haven't already at xman87. Hit the notification bell so you always know when my latest videos are up. Share and subscribe if you're new. See you on the next review. Peace, peace.